What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Arrow, and today is my day 3-ish update for the Permafrost Bolts Witchhunter. So the league has been going absolutely amazing for me. Incredibly smooth campaign. The build has been absolutely amazing. It's everything I've been hoping it would be. Clear is good. The single target is good. We're having a really good time, and we haven't spent too much currency. I've made a couple changes to the build, and I will go through each one of them. But first, I kind of just wanted to talk about the state of the game, the state of the league, state of the build. So I'll start with the build. We are in tier 15 maps. We are just about to do our first Citadel. It took me forever to find them, but I finally found them late last night. So if you want to see me do those Citadels, stop by the Twitch today, twitch.tv/AER0__. I'm going to be live right after I make this video. So stop by, say hello, drop the Twitch Prime. But killing tier 15 map bosses has been an absolute breeze. They basically go down in a second or two, and we are still on some of my early game gear. The build has been fantastic for a lot of different content, Abyss, Expedition, Ritual, but it's also really good at the league mechanic, which unfortunately doesn't really matter. The league mechanic has been incredibly unrewarding. It's slow, and I really just don't enjoy it in its current state. It feels like a ton of work, a ton of time running between empty rooms, clearing single monsters out of corners, or else you're locked in that room forever. It really is just a slog right now. I can see how it could be rewarding if we understood it, but I will say this is one of the least communicated leagues we've ever gotten from GGG. There's basically no information on how to do anything, and trial and error is very punishing. You set up a bad temple, well, you're going to have to wait a while and just hope those rooms get deleted. I'm doing my best on stream to try to figure out how this works, and we do every temple that we come across. I've been taking notes on which rooms upgrade which rooms, but I haven't really found the currency yet. So my experience thus far in 0.4 has probably been a 7 out of 10, but the league is a 2 out of 10. Luckily, I still think that PoE 2's endgame is actually in a pretty good state right now. I don't feel like endgame mapping is a slog. It's very quick to get in and out of maps. Tablets in their current state are actually quite easy to use, so I'm pretty happy with just mapping. I would say that currently, the PoE 2 endgame is in by far the best state that it's ever been in. Okay, so what did I change about the build? Let's jump in game. The load times this league have been insane. Okay, let's talk about the gems that we've been working with. Once we got into the end game, I have 6 links for both my fragmentation rounds and my permafrost. This came from just corrupting 20 quality 5 links, so we could get that 6 link. I've actually abandoned the Nova projectiles idea for now. I just didn't really like the way it felt without more projectile speed. But in all my testing, what I found was the more projectile speed we have, the better the build feels. So I'm rocking projectile acceleration 2 in here, which gives us 40% more proj speed. And this allows our projectiles to get pretty close to the edge of the screen, but also chain off of walls more efficiently. I have wall chain on the tree. I have it from a gem here. I have 50% chain off of terrain here. And then I have a bunch of jewels that also have chain off of terrain. The end result is that I have somewhere in the realm of 98% chance to chain off terrain. This is probably a little bit overkill. So with projectile speed, with wall chain, you're going to be hitting walls after you've pierced the 5 enemies that we have currently. So this combination of far traveling projectiles and wall chain means that especially in tight layouts, you're going to be hitting monsters basically no matter where you aim, but it also means more single target on closed layouts where you have a boss near a wall. Now that's actually most bosses in the game. If you're doing any sort of map boss, they generally spawn up against a wall. Now stuff like Arbiter, you're going to want to swap that out, but I found this felt even better than Nova and much better than I expected. So we are almost never using our explosive grenade anymore. I never even 6-linked it. The damage is good. Sometimes I preload on a boss with it. And we'll see once we get into Citadels and Arbiter and things, how much damage we want to try to get out of this. But I've basically been ignoring the grenades for a while. Freezing Mark got some really cool new tech this league. We can now use Mark of Siphoning, which says enemies marked by supported skills cause you to leech mana equal to 5% of attack damage. That's not elemental, it's not physical, it is all of your attack damage. So when you use your Freezing Mark, pretty much never have to worry about mana. While mapping, you'll still want some either mana on kill or just pay attention to your mana flask, but this feels really good on single target, and is basically your full solution for mana. Next, we have Charged Mark, which is an incredibly simple way to get shock into the build. Whenever a mark is consumed or triggered on a boss, so this one in particular says that it is consumed when you freeze the enemy, it will create shocked ground with a radius of 2.2 meters, which is not very big. We could probably put some AoE on this. This is basically giving us shocks on bosses. So we freeze the boss, the shock ground goes underneath it, and then they're standing still frozen on the shocked ground. Having such easy access to shock means that in the endgame, this build will now want to go for a Yoke of Suffering. Yoke is an incredibly powerful amulet that makes enemies take increased damage for each type of ailment they have on them. This brings me to my next point, which is how are we going to enable the Yoke in the endgame? I don't currently have it. And we'll get to the gear that I do have in a minute. But Yoke is going to require us to do a couple of things. We want to be freezing, we want to be chilling, we want to be shocking, and we want to be igniting. The chill and freeze are solved. The shock is now solved from the mark. And we get all kinds of bonus damage from Harness the Elements. But how are we going to be igniting? Well, I have not tested this yet, but I'm fairly certain this is going to be enough. Climate Change anointed on our amulet or from a jewel is going to give us freeze buildup as well as cold damage as extra fire against frozen enemies. So when you freeze an enemy, you will get that shock, but you will also get cold as extra fire, which should lead to you igniting that enemy, especially because we're going to be taking this wheel down here. This wheel gives flammability, magnitude, as well as some AoE, and then a huge amount of AoE if you've ignited in the last 8 seconds. Now, I tested this, and I don't know if this works with Herald of Ash. It doesn't seem to be showing in the tooltip, so I don't think it does. Unfortunately, getting some fire into the build alongside of some flammability magnitude should allow us to be consistently igniting enemies, which is going to give us 4 different ailments for the Yoke of Suffering. I still want to go for the Sine Aquo gloves in the endgame. I don't have them yet because I currently have a pretty strong setup in Leopold's Applause and the Pandemonious, which was recently buffed. So Leopold's is very, very cheap this league. That was unexpected. So this allows you to pen up to negative 50 res, and the Pandemonious gives us 75 pen on top of the 10 we get from the gloves. So any monster that has 35 res or less is going to have negative 50, and then above that, they'll have a little bit more res. But the buff to Pandemonious was that it gets up to 100 cold res now, and this with 99 cold res on it cost me 10 exalts. So very, very cheap setup. I think I paid maybe 40 or 50 for Leopold's and then 10 for this. So this is a really nice stepping stone to get you into the end game. Highly, highly recommend that. Now, most of my gear is pretty bad. Some of the stuff is from the campaign still. I just upgraded my rings just to get some rarity. I spent like maybe a divine on these 2 total just to kind of get me to the end game so that when I do my big respec for the new amulet, for the new gloves, I can kind of change everything at once. I did craft the weapon. Unfortunately, we have settled on tier 5 attack speed for now. After 3 Omen of Lights, we got pretty unlucky with this step, but our crossbow cost us around 7 divines. I do have a YouTube short that is on my channel if you want to check it out that explains how to craft this crossbow and has a video guide of me doing it live. So the rest of my gear is nothing to write home about. It is not good. The rings, helmet, chest, boots, belt all need to be upgraded. So we're going to be doing that. We've made a little bit of money and we'll make some upgrades over on stream today. There's also some cool tech that was brought to me by Dragon Spear that allows you to eliminate the need for some of the spirit in the build. So Herald of Ice never goes off on fragmentation rounds. Fragmentation rounds consumes freezes on enemies, which means it can't have them be frozen when they are hit by it. So that means your Herald of Ice is only really ever working on your Permafrost bolts, which we knew. However, Shard Scavenger also only works when you consume a freeze. We only consume a freeze with fragmentation rounds, which means that we can have Shard Scavenger on the same weapon set that our fragmentation rounds are on, and we can have Herald of Ice on the same weapon set as Permafrost bolts. When you swap between, the Shard Scavenger buff that lasts 3 or 4 seconds stays on. There is no downside to doing this. It saved us a bit of spirit, and that's why we only have 100 spirit in the build right now. So everything that is in this build right now will be over in the planner. Keep in mind, I'm still testing things, so not every single gem that I have is going to be the most efficient. Sometimes I just like to try stuff out. I'm currently testing if I can get my Wind Dancer to freeze enemies. It's not super effective, and I may need to change some more things, but I also need to get some more levels on it. Here's one hot tip for you. As we wrap up this video, I'm going to give you the hottest tip of the video, and that is that Sorcery Ward protects your honor in the Trial of Sekma. That means if you have a 2000 Sorcery Ward shield, that means you have to take 2000 damage in 6 seconds or less before your honor is touched by a hit. This basically makes Trial of Sekma incredibly simple, and the only way that you could fail is if you happen to get the no evasion room, which I unfortunately did when I was doing my trial. But if you want to do that 4th trial, I definitely recommend jumping over into the ceremonial ablution over judge, jury, and executioner, so you can just unspec this with Doriani and spec this in. And as you run through, you will have a huge amount of shield that'll protect your honor. All right, that is going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you stop by my Twitch and say hello. Twitch.tv/AER0__. Drop that Twitch Prime or just say hi. But also make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more content and then drop a like and a comment down below. How are you enjoying the league so far? And what do you think about the mechanic? Thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.